What is the most ducked up thing you have ever seen at a party? Saw a guy puke into my friend's mouth while they were kissing. They're married now. A girl fell asleep on the floor and a guy walked over and pissed on her. He thought, for some reason, that people would find it funny. Everyone exploded in rage, kicked him out, and ostracized him on social media. We woke up the girl, she showered, and the host of the party let her wear his mom's pajamas while they ran her own clothes through the washer and dryer. A friend of mine from high school came back from his second tour in Iraq. He was no longer the same upbeat person he used to be. Points and the drugs he self-medicated with destroyed him. Anyways, we were having a summer party having a good time and he goes batshit crazy after downing a bottle of tequila. The day before his fiancée broke it off and told him he would never see their child together again. He pulled out his gun and threatened to kill himself. 5 guys, myself included, wrestled him to the ground and disarmed him. The guy that actually got the gun from him was his cousin. He popped out the clip and handed the gun to him and told him to go sleep his it off. My disturbed friend grabbed the gun and put it in his mouth and blew his head off. There was a bullet in the chamber and he knew it. Apparently he was walking around with a gun ready to rock and roll. Always clear the chamber. And to even make this story even brighter, the cousin who gave him back his gun killed himself 6 months later because of this incident. Oh, did I mention that this party was at my house? So I get to see where it happened daily. At least it was in my backyard and not in my house. Halloween party thrown by a friend that was in law enforcement. Secretly gay and dating a fairly young guy who was there at the party. The young boyfriend apparently got quite drunk. Went upstairs and everyone at the party hears a gunshot. He had killed himself with my friend's pistol. There were a lot of lives really ducked up that night. A girl broke up with her boyfriend at the party. That's bad form on its own. But then she spent the night searching the party for someone to talk to about how it is. Except he invited her and she knew no one at the party. Then she asked him for a ride home. And that guy was me, Ducky Becky. There was a dude passed out outside a party getting wrecked with markers, lipstick, etc. Then some guy pulls out a spray can he found in the garage. Thinking it was spray paint, he just started spraying the dude's hair. Turns out the spray can was actually asphalt tree pruning seal. Dude's hair only grew back in patches. In high school there was a stomach virus going around. Some girl had it and proceeded to get very drunk. She was standing over a white carpet wearing a skirt when she hit herself. Apparently she didn't have any underwear on. They called her party pooper. It's the winter time and Andy takes Tim's jacket and stuffs it in the freezer when Tim wasn't looking. When Tim finds out, he grabs the squirt thing from the sink and sprays Andy. So Andy chases Tim outside and grabs the hose and soaks Tim with water. Then Tim goes to the bathroom, pisses in a cup and throws his piss on Andy. So Andy, not to be outdone, goes to the bathroom and it's in a cup, then chases Tim down and throws poop on him. At this point all the other party guests are slightly disgusted, and Andy and Tim appear to have come to a non-verbal agreement that they're finished. So Tim takes a shower and spends the rest of the party in his boxers while Andy washes his clothes. It went from cold jacket to throwing poop in under 10 minutes. One time I was at a party and got really drunk. After a long night of drinking I went outside and threw up in a small drainage ditch next to the house. Not just in one spot either. It is very spread out. About 2 hours later a dude decides to punch a chick while she was smoking on the side of the house. After he hit her, some other dude tackled him and they flew into the drainage ditch. After that everyone's friends jumped in and they were slipping and sliding in what they thought was spilt beer. Boy were they wrong. I'll never forget seeing someone get up with chick chunks on their shoulder. Everyone was covered in puke. It was glorious. TLDR, a brawl happened in my throw up. 2 dudes were fighting. One of them punched the other's head through a window pane. The glass somehow cut the dude's throat. Blood everywhere. He immediately went unresponsive. He didn't die, but it was pretty ducked up. As much blood as there was, everyone there thought he was dead. One time I saw this guy curb stomp some other dude. Hearing teeth crack is one of the most horrifying sounds I've ever heard. Years ago, I had a buddy whose elder brother was a Hells Angels member and invited me over to his house for a party they were having. It was pretty much everything you'd expect from Hell's Angels back in the day. One of the girls there put her little dog in a bedroom to keep it out of the way and safe. Somebody went into the room and didn't like the yappy little dog and decided to stab it dozens of times and, who knows why, swung the corpse around so there was blood and poo spread all over the walls, then shoved the remains under a bed. I decided to leave. My friend being hit in the face with a full Jack Daniels bottle completely unprovoked. No idea what the other kid was thinking. My friend had to get reconstructive surgery and the other guy went to jail. Back in the 80s I was at a party where the host had procured some Everclear, which is grain alcohol, like moonshine. Everyone there was young. We were all around 15 or 16. Needless to say, people that young cannot handle such potent alcohol. One girl, who is clearly wasted, passes out on a couch while the party rages around her for hours. I left and found out the next day she had died of alcohol poisoning. We were standing around partying oblivious to the fact that the passed out girl on the couch was actually dead. I can't remember what exactly happened to the host, but I think he got off light because he was a minor. I believe the girl had taken some pills also. Worst one for me was when I went to the club with my then girlfriend and a bunch of her friends. We were standing in line with everyone else, and there's this beyond it faced girl with her friends standing in front of us. She was loud, swaying, and generally just absolutely white girl wasted, no offense to the paler ladies. We were doing our thing, and the line was moving slow. After about 5 minutes we hear this sickening splatter and all turn at the same time. Turns out we were in the ducking splash zone at this chick's stomach Sea World, and she's just exploding black puke. All of us got some on us, but it wasn't so bad that we had to leave and go change. Puke girl wipes her hand, but amazingly she doesn't get kicked out and successfully makes it into the club. We enter the club and beeline to our respective washrooms to wash up. I had some on my arm and little bit in my hair, but it's easily washed away. Afterwards, it's the average club time with shots and wooing and dancing. That is until about 2 hours later, I see puke girl on the dance floor. She's even drunker than before and she's just grinding on this poor dude. He has this big old smile on his face like, duck where, Emma get me some of this. And they start making out. I make a face, like this, while they exchange tar. They come out of the kiss and this poor duck has, I swear to God, completely black lips like he applied goth makeup. He's smiling into her eyes while I'm in the background, like this. That was the ducking worst thing I've seen out in the wild. Goddamn. I watched a heavily pregnant girl rail multiple lines of coke together with her future child's father. That made me despair a little. Totally random guy asks to smell my friend's bag of weed. Says he is a bit of a weed connoisseur. My friend hands him the bag and this guy opens it up, spits in it, and hands it back, then leaves. Not really ducked up or weird. I know someone who has a foot fetish but could never got a girl to let him suck her toes. At this party, my friend found out about his fetish and announced that he'd pay any girl $20 to let this guy suck her toes. After a couple minutes some girl was drunk enough to agree. The whole party stopped to watch it happen. This guy was super pumped and ready to go down on her toes, but the girl was a little apprehensive. Sure enough, he just went to town on her toes. At one point everyone was chanting, "Toe job, toe job." The guy who paid the girl had to separate the two cause he showed no signs of stopping the sucking. It was pretty weird, funny, and definitely not something you see at every party. My friend woke up to a used tampon in his butter and another floating around in the milk. Breakfast was ruined. I saw a kid in steel toe boots kick another kid in the face as he was getting up after being knocked down. I've never seen blood spray like that before. Needless to say, that was a major buzzkill, so we left. I think the kid ended up with a broken nose. No other major damage, luckily. Once, I saw a kid eat into a Nutella jar and put it back into the kitchen cabinet. I saw a guy blowing a shotgun charge from a blunt to another guy. As soon as their hands locked, the guy with the blunts in his mouth coughed, sent it flying into the other guy's eye, then projectile vomited in his face. It was perfect. Back in early 2002, I was 19 years old and at a house party of a friend of a friend's. It wasn't a big to-do. There was only a handful of people there. I anticipated many more people coming since I based my expectations off of what I see in movies. Didn't happen. Instead what happened was, there was a D to V ratio of roughly 6 to 1. 2 of the girls were spoken for and the one single girl left was flirting with everybody. At some point, she walked off to the bathroom and then a guy went in after her. He came out, and then another guy went in. Then he came out and another guy went in. All the way until it was my turn. I politely passed in GTFO. In the car, my buddy asked me why I passed up on free head. The only explanation I could give him was that I wasn't sure what was more ducked up about the whole thing. The fact that this girl felt that she had to blow every guy there to feel needed, or that every guy there thought it was perfectly okay to just line up and go. In high school, senior year, I'm at this after party after our homecoming dance. I'm pretty wasted and I go to take a piss. About halfway through pissing I realize that the shower is on, and the curtain is closed. So I'm like, duck man, there's someone showering in here. So I apologize but I didn't get an answer. So I thought maybe some drunk idiot left the shower on so I went to turn it off. Well turns out there's a butt-ass naked girl laying in the bottom of the shower. The water is ducking freezing mind you. Weird thing was, there were no clothes anywhere in the bathroom so I had no idea how she got there. I turned the shower off and tried waking her up but all I got was mumbled drunk talk. So threw a couple towels on her and went and got the guy whose house it was. He carried her into one of the bedrooms and threw blankets on her and closed the door. Never saw her again. Kid A takes a cheap shot at Kid B. Kid A is laying on top of the Kid B, throwing punches yelling say you're my itch and I'll stop. Kid C grabs Kid A by the hair ears and throws a huge knee to the guy's face. Gets on top and just starts throwing huge punches and elbows and screaming who's the itch now? Kid B and C eventually dragged him outside, wrote itch on his forehead and pissed on him. 3 people died. Party in India which was on the side of a cliff, with different levels i.e. 3 dance floors staggered down the face. People would fall asleep and roll off and smack their heads on the rocks. Party still carried on though. India. My friend saw this one at his frat. He was walking past the bathroom and looked in through the open door to see a girl bent over the toilet, puking her guts out, while a guy had her pants down and was banging her from behind. When I was in grade 10 I went to a party with some of the older kids in our high school, and I noticed that another girl in my grade named Mary also was there. She was flirting with an older guy who went to a different school who I didn't really know but I went over and said hi anyways. Flash forward to later in the night and I noticed that Mary and her new friend had disappeared upstairs for what must have been some super blackout drunk sex. The reason why I assumed they must have been at-faced is because after the party had died down and most of the guests, including Mary, had left we heard sort of a scream come from upstairs. Except this scream came from a guy. We ran up the stairs to find Mary's friend freshly woken from his drunken slumber, as well as blood all over his boxers, the sheets, and the mattress of the bed. It would so happen that both Mary and her friend had been too drunk to notice that Mary had been on her period during 60 times. Of course the whole school found out and inevitably the horrible nickname of Bloody Mary soon came to be commonplace in the hallways. She soon switched school, although I see her every once in a while still and say hi to her when I do. TLDR, don't have a 6 on your period if your name is Mary. Edit. I also forgot to mention I was at a party at the same guy's house and he stops the party and says party hard, but not too hard as he pulls out and waves around the same bloody boxers he had on that night. Everyone had a good laugh at that, but was kinda grossed out he still had them.